Joining me now is Chris Burniske. He's partner at Placeholder, a VC firm specializing in crypto assets, former head of ARK Invest crypto department, as we were just reminiscing about somewhat. Chris, welcome.
Thanks, Kelly.
So the concern, there's a lot of concern about how much more there is to come from DC. And if I were someone tangentially involved in the space, wouldn't I maybe think twice about it just to be super safe about not crossing with an area? Look at TikTok, that the government may be signaling a further crackdown on.
I would actually take the opposite approach of the size of the fight here is indicative of the scale of the opportunity and what's at stake. And, you know, I've been in the crypto industry for about 10 years now. No one cared about us in the beginning. You know, they laughed at us, they ridiculed us. And then here we are on the biggest stages, you know, in the midst of a banking crisis. I also think it's...
So you're in other words saying we've gone first they ignore you, then they laugh at you, then they fight you, and
then you know what happens after they fight you. You win. Exactly. And I'd say that's where our belief is. And the timing is a little too coincidental. You know, at the same time that you have government officials saying, hey, don't panic about the traditional system, they're saying, hey, do panic about crypto, don't look over here. But Bitcoin was built for moments like this. It's an alternative to the existing system. Ethereum as well operates an internet-native financial system. And these are means for consumers to make a different choice, or at the very least diversify. There's no solvency risk. There's algorithmic supply. It's not going to be caught up in the same contagion we see right now in the traditional system. And so that's valuable for consumers to be educated about.
So people are saying if the government, for instance, cracks down on staking or that kind of behavior, the yield farming kind of behavior, which they've kind of been going at this from the edges first, maybe moving towards the middle, that would undermine a significant portion of Coinbase's revenues and probably, some would argue, threatens the crypto ecosystem as well. Do you share those concerns? Do you think that that is potentially an area that we're going to see more regulatory pressure?
So I would differentiate between the protocols and the companies that operate on top of the protocols. So Coinbase is a company that provides services on top of these protocols. Coinbase is not changing their operations, right? Their stance is our business hasn't changed. You approved us in the IPO in 2021. You've been inconsistent in this process. And so I think that Coinbase will take this to the courts and potentially the highest courts. We see similar action from Grayscale, you know, suing the SEC for inconsistency as well. And so these companies, they do have to deal with the costs and, you know, say some of the complications of that process. And so that's important for investors to be aware of. At the same time, though, you have Bitcoin chugging along, Ethereum chugging along. Basically, these protocols don't care, right? Last year combined, they settled over $20 trillion in value. Bitcoin is, you know, you've got an all-time high of holders right now where 68% of holders have not sold or moved their Bitcoin for over a year. So you have these people who aren't flinching in spite of all this regulatory pressure. And in fact, I would say, as we see since the SVB collapse, they're shifting even more into Bitcoin. And so this is where I think you'll see the strategy from the government ultimately backfire.